Hello listeners and welcome back to our channel. I'm Storyteller. So, I hope that all of you are doing great and all of you are eager to learn something new. That's why today I am here with our new story, Aladdin Part 2. We have already read Part 1 in our previous video. So now let's start with our Part 2. But before this, if you like my voice or like this story, so please do subscribe to our channel. So now let's move towards it. He came again the next day as he had promised and took Aladdin with him to a merchant who sold all sorts of clothes for different ages and ranks, ready made and a variety of fine stuffs, and bade Aladdin choose those he preferred, which he paid for. When Aladdin found himself so handsomely equipped, he returned his uncle thanks, who thus addressed him, "As you are soon to be a merchant, it is proper you should frequent these shops and become acquainted with them." He then showed him the largest and finest mosques, carried him to the khans and inns where the merchants and travelers lodged, and afterward to the Sultan's palace, where he had free access, and at last brought him to his own khan, where, meeting with some merchants, he had become acquainted with since his arrival. He gave them a treat to bring them and his pretended nephew acquainted. This entertainment lasted till night, when Aladdin would have taken leave of his uncle to go home. The magician would not let him go by himself, but conducted him to his mother, who, as soon as she saw him so well dressed, was transported with joy, and bestowed 1,000 blessings upon the magician. Early the next morning, the magician called again for Aladdin and said he would take him to spend that day in the country, and on the next he would purchase the shop. He then led him out at one of the gates of the city to some magnificent palaces, to each of which belonged beautiful gardens into which anybody might enter. At every building he came to, he asked Aladdin if he did not think it fine, and the youth was ready to answer. Then anyone presented itself, crying out, "Here is a finer house, uncle, than any we have yet seen." By this artifice, the cunning magician led Aladdin some way into the country, and as he meant to carry him further to execute his design, pretending to be tired, he took an opportunity to sit down in one of the gardens on the brink of a fountain of clear water, which discharged itself by a lion's mouth of bronze into a basin. "Come, nephew," said he, "you must be weary as well as I. Let us rest ourselves, and we shall be better able to pursue our walk." The magician next pulled from his girdle a handkerchief with cakes and fruits, and during this short repast he exhorted his nephew to leave off bad company and to seek that of wise and prudent men to improve by their conversation. For, said he, you will soon be at man's estate, and you cannot too early begin to imitate their example. When they had eaten as much as they liked, they got up and pursued their walk through gardens separated from one another only by small ditches, which marked out the limits without interrupting the communication. So great was the confidence the inhabitants respond in each other. By this means the African magician drew Aladdin insensibly beyond the gardens and crossed the country till they nearly reached the mountains. At last, they arrived between two mountains of moderate height and equal size, divided by a narrow valley, where the magician intended to execute the design that had brought him from Africa to China. We will go no further now, said he to Aladdin. I will show you here some extraordinary things which, when you have seen, you will thank me for. But while I strike a light, gather up all the loose, dry sticks you can see to kindle a fire with. Aladdin found so many dried sticks that he soon collected a great heap. The magician presently set them on fire, and when they were in a blaze, he threw in some incense, pronouncing several magical words, which Aladdin did not understand. He had scarcely done so when the earth opened just before the magician and disclosed a stone with a brass ring fixed in it. Aladdin was so frightened that he would have run away, but the magician caught hold of him and gave him such a box on the ear that he knocked him down. Aladdin got up trembling and with tears in his eyes, said to the magician, "What have I done, uncle, to be treated in this sober manner?" "I am your uncle," answered the magician. "I supply the place of your father, and you ought to make no reply." "But, child," added he, softening, "do not be afraid, for I shall not ask anything of you, but that if you obey me punctually, you will reap the advantages which I intend you. Know then that under this stone there is hidden a treasure destined to be yours, and which will make you richer than the greatest monarch in the world. No person but yourself is permitted to lift this stone or enter the cave, so you must punctually execute what I may command, for it is a matter of great consequence both to you and to me." Aladdin, amazed at all he saw and heard, forgot what was past, and rising said, "Well, uncle, what is to be done? Command me. I am ready to obey." "I am overjoyed, child," said the African magician, embarrassing him. "Take hold of the ring and lift up that stone." "Indeed, uncle," replied Aladdin, "I am not strong enough. You must help me." You have no occasion for my assistance, answered the magician. If I help you, we shall be able to do nothing. Take hold of the ring and lift it up. You will find it will come easily. Aladdin did as the magician bade him, raised the stone with ease, and laid it on one side. When the stone was pulled up, there appeared a staircase about 3 or 4 feet deep, leading to a door. Descend those steps, my son, said the African magician, and opened that door. It will lead you into a palace divided into 3 great halls. In each of these, you will see 4 large brass centers placed on each side, full of gold and silver. But take care you do not meddle with them. Before you enter the first hall, be sure to tuck up your robe, wrap it about you, and then pass through the second into the third without stopping. Above all things, have a care that you do not touch the walls so much as with your clothes, for if you do, you will die instantly. At the end of the third hall, you will find a door which opens into a garden planted with fine trees, loaded with fruit. Walk directly across the garden to the terrace, where you will see a niche before you, and in that niche a lighted lamp. Take the lamp down and put it out. When you have thrown away the wick and poured out the liquor, put it in your waistband and bring it to me. Do not be afraid that the liquor will spoil your clothes, for it is not oil, and the lamp will be dry as soon as it is thrown out. After these words, the magician drew a ring off his finger and put it on one of Aladdin's, saying, "It is a talisman against all evil. So long as you obey me, go therefore boldly, and we shall both be rich all our lives." Aladdin descended the steps and opening the door, found the 3 halls just as the African magician had described. He went through them with all the precautions the fear of death could inspire, crossed the garden without stopping, took down the lamp from the niche, threw out the wick and the liquor, and as the magician had desired, put it in his waistband. But as he came down from the terrace, seeing it was perfectly dry, he stopped in the garden to observe the trees, which were loaded with extraordinary fruit of different colors. On each tree, some bore fruit entirely white, and some clear and transparent as crystal, some pale red and others deeper, some green, blue, and purple, and others yellow. In short, there was fruit of all colors. The white were pearls, and the clear and transparent diamonds, the deep red rubies, the paler balas rubies, the green emeralds, the blue turquoise, the purple amethyst, the yellow asurfies. Aladdin, ignorant of their value, would have preferred figs or grapes or pomegranates. But as he had his uncle's permission, he resolved to gather some of every sort. Having filled the two new purses his uncle had brought for him with his clothes, he wrapped some up in the skirts of his vest and crammed his bosom as full as it could hold. Aladdin, having thus loaded himself with riches of which he knew not the value, returned through the three halls with the utmost precaution, and soon arrived at the mouth of the cave, where the African magician awaited him with the utmost impatience. As soon as Aladdin saw him, he cried out, "Pray, uncle, lend me your hand to help me out." "Give me the lamp first," replied the magician. "It will be troublesome to you." "Indeed, uncle," answered Aladdin, "I cannot now, but I will as soon as I am up." The African magician was determined that he would have the lamp before he would help him up, and Aladdin, who had encumbered himself so much with his fruit that he could not well get at it, refused to give it to him till he was not out of the cave. The African magician, provoked at this obstinate refusal, flew into a passion, threw a little of his incense into the fire, and pronounced two magical words. Then the stone which had closed the mouth of the staircase moved into its place with the earth over it in the same manner as it lay at the arrival of the magician and Aladdin. So because this story is too long, so rest of the part of this story we will cover in our next part. Till then, stay tuned with us. I hope that all of you like this story. So please do like, share, subscribe and comment on our channel. Thanks for listening and wait for the next part.